shall we? Starting around 4 in the afternoon for more of the same, weather permitting. The time, 1 minute before 7.
Wuthering Heights recounts the tale of the ill-fated lovers Heathcliff and Catherine on the lonely moors of northern England. Bringing its signature style and dynamic approach, Aquila Theatre brings to life Emily Bronte's classic story of an all-consuming passion with this new production, Wuthering Heights, at Caltech's Beckman Auditorium on Friday, November 14th at 8 p.m. For information, call the Caltech ticket office at 626-395-4652.
This is Southern California's classical station, KUSC Los Angeles, a listener-supported radio station and broadcast service of the University of Southern California, home of the USC Marshall School of Business. Classical KUSC is 91.5 FM and HD1 in LA and Orange County.
Madam Mayor.
Good evening and welcome to the regular meeting of the City Council, Monday, November 10th. If you will please stand and join Councilman Shanks in the Pledge of Allegiance. Appreciate it.
Please face the flag, put your hand over your heart, and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Deaton.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Sloan. Councilman Levitt.
Here.
Councilman Miller.
Here.
Councilman Shanks.
Here.
Would you please show that Mayor Pro Tem Sloan is excused? Okay, now is the time by motion of the City Council to notify the public of any changes to the agenda and or rearrange the order of the agenda. Are there any changes or anything to be pulled?
I would like to pull items F, G, and K.
Any others?
Mayor, staff has one revision, please. On consent calendar, item D, on the reorganization of the command staff, we have a revised attachment on resolution number 6507, which updates those salary steps, which was an inadvertent error on the staff report. It does not in any way change staff's recommendation for approval of this item. In fact, it strengthens our recommendation, and that's all I have.
Thank you. All right, at this time we have presentations and recognitions, and I would like to begin with our county supervisor, John Morlock, who is retiring from being our supervisor. And Supervisor Morlock, I would like to thank you, first of all, for your service and the wonderful job that you've done as our supervisor. Let me tell a little bit about you. John, you have been supervisor of the 2nd District since 2006, representing the cities of Buena Park, Costa Mesa, Cypress, Fountain Valley, Huntington Beach, La Palma, Los Alamitos, Newport Beach, Seal Beach, and Stanton. That's a big job. Thank you. You also represent the Centralia School District, the Cypress School District, the Fountain Valley School District, Garden Grove Unified School District, Los Alamitos, Newport Mesa, and the Ocean View School District. You have brought your education, experience, and varied interests, including a love of California history, to your role to benefit the cities and agencies you represent. You have consistently shown support of the city of Seal Beach, and at this point I would like to thank you again for the sand replenishment, huge to us, thank you, and our residents, businesses, and you have been responsive to the needs of your 2nd District constituents. While the list of your accomplishment on behalf of the 2nd District are immeasurable, you have been a champion of Seal Beach on the 2 most recent efforts. The 3,000 truckloads of free sand from the Santa Ana River for sand nourishment on our East Beach, which saved our city over $500,000 and possibly up to $1 million. Also, your unwavering support of the Corridor City's efforts in opposition to the 405 toll lane project proposal. So thank you for that. The City of Seal Beach has valued our relationship with you, and the City Council, on behalf of the city staff and the Seal Beach community, wishes you all the best in your future endeavors.
Do you have a few words to say?
Yeah, well, I don't know when.
So we would like So, what we would like to do is give Supervisor Mornoff this beautiful plaque once again. And if there's anything you'd like to say, John, now would be the time.
Thank you,
Thank
Ellery.
you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for wearing orange. It's been a real honor to serve as your supervisor these past 8 years, and it's been a real delight to work with your city. I want to thank you, Michael. If I could be a little more personal, use first names. Michael and I have been working on the Orange County Vector Control Board for the last 4 or 5 years, and it's been a real treat to just have fun debating and doing what's right for that little agency, which is a small agency but very important for the county. And so thank you for your leadership, and you're welcome. I hope your colleagues keep you on that little board now that you know what a mosquito is.
Nobody knows how tight a CPA can be until they know you, Joe.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael. I'm very complimented. And then Gary's been working really hard on OCTA board, and we sit next to each other, and you're very good about giving me a call on a Saturday. We sit and commiserate or try to strategize, so I've been very appreciative of that. And Gordon, I know we put you on a committee or two to keep you out of trouble. And Ellery, you're a warrior when it comes to the 405, and I really appreciate your leadership and just your no-fear attitude. And Jill, it's been great to work with you. Thank you for at least pulling me aside when we didn't understand what an agenda item was all about, and being patient with us as we tried to rectify that. And I also enjoyed working with your predecessor, and the city is just an incredible jewel, and you guys are very fortunate to represent just an incredible community. And with that, I wish you all the best. For those that are moving on, all the best, and those that are staying, take good care of Seal Beach. It's a sweet little place, and I'm just honored that you would recognize me. It's been all my pleasure and been just a lot of fun. So thank you very much, Madam Mayor, for your kindnesses. I appreciate it.
I have a couple of things, John. I want to thank you
I'm sorry,
for...
I'm not on the consent calendar. I'm not.
But I did raise my hand. I want to thank you for all the service you've provided the people of Orange County for all these years, not only in the supervisors, but before the supervisor's position. And, you know, in particular, I want to thank you for helping me obtain the safety wall between the 405 and Lamson. That was probably the first project we met on. And you also helped us save the Elmwood Sound Wall, which we are all appreciative of. And we know you've been fighting with us for the toll lanes, to have the toll lanes not come to the 405. And I know you've put out an effort that in the future we're going to try to get it so the people of Orange County can vote if we want to put toll lanes on. And if I'm reelected to the board, I'll try to continue that. And I'd welcome any input you give me along the way. And I won't call you on Saturday anymore. And I just want to say that, you know, to me, I'm kind of not, I'm probably the most anti-term limit person here, and I hate to see somebody as good as you leave, but I'm sure you're going to come back to public service. I just got that feeling. So thank you very much, John.
Thank you, Gary. It's been a real pleasure to work with you. Thank you.
Yeah, I know. The next presentation was actually, we had a reception this afternoon for the retiring council members, both District 3 Councilman Gordon Shanks and District 5 Councilman Michael Levitt. And at that reception, we had certificates of recognition presented and attendance from a variety of organizations, including Congressman Dana Rohrabacher's office, Assemblyman Alan Travis's office, Supervisor John Morlock was here tonight, but had a resolution also from Southern California, Edison, the City of Los Alamitos, the City of Cypress, and the Los Alamitos Unified School District. Family members were also in attendance to help recognize their loved ones for their contribution to the city. And I understand that tonight we have Diana Carey representing the corridor cities. Is that right, Diana? So why don't you come forward?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Deaton, council members. I am Councilwoman Diana Carey from your sister city of Westminster. Tonight I am here as the Corridor Cities representative. The Corridor Cities are Los Alamitos, Rossmore, we like to include Rossmore, Seal Beach, Fountain Valley, Huntington Beach, Costa Mesa, and Los Alamitos. And I just wanted to say, on behalf of the City of Westminster and especially the Corridor Cities, we wanted to give this certificate of recognition to Michael Levitt for the years of service that he has given to the Corridor Cities in our fight against toll lanes and to keep the almond wall and other issues along the corridor. And just from the bottom of our heart, we really, really appreciate everything that Michael has done for us. And on a personal note, I'm just coming in on my 10th year as a representative of, all of the corridor cities to the OCTA. And we've been at many, many meetings, and I just want to say it's really been a pleasure to sit between Gary Miller and Michael Levitt, and we've tried to keep their feet to the fire, and I know hopefully Gary and I can continue to do that. But I just want Michael to know, and most importantly, the citizens of Seal Beach need to know that he has been an outstanding representative of all of the people of Seal Beach, and you were really blessed to have him represent you. Thank you. Thank you.
I want to just thank you very much. It has been kind of a selfish motive I had in fighting the toll lanes. Our 9,000 seniors in Leisure World cannot afford to pay tolls to travel on the same freeways that they've already paid for with their taxes. There's just something inherently wrong with a toll lane on a freeway. And so I've enjoyed fighting the good fight, and we will continue it. Thank you.
And then our last presentation for this evening is the Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month proclamation. Do we have someone here from there? All right. In 2014, an estimated 46,420 people will be diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in the United States, and 39,590 will die from the disease. The incident and death rate for pancreatic cancer are increasing, and pancreatic cancer is anticipated to move from the fourth to the second leading cause of cancer death in the U.S. by 2020. The Pancreatic Cancer Action Network is a national organization serving the pancreatic cancer community in Seal Beach and nationwide through a comprehensive approach that includes public policy, research funding, patient services, and public awareness and education related to developing effective treatments and a cure for pancreatic cancer. The City of Seal Beach hereby recognizes November 14th as Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month.
Hello. Thank you very much.
Thank you. If you would introduce yourself to the folks and...
Yes, I'd be happy to. My name is Ellen Maddox, and I'm representing the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network. I would just like to say that Seal Beach is historic this year. You've been doing this for a couple of years now, recognizing November as Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month. And this year is historic because we're doing a worldwide campaign this year. We're turning the whole world purple on November 13th, and Seal Beach is part of that. So I wanted to say thank you for being part of that. Also, on next Saturday, we're having the Purple Stride Orange County at William H. Mason Park in Irvine. So if anyone would like to join us, we'd love to have you come down. Charlotte Ray, who was the house mother on the TV program The Facts of Life, is going to be our guest of honor. So if anyone would like to come down, we've already raised over $150,000 to fight pancreatic cancer, and our goal is to raise over $200,000, which we've been accomplishing for quite a few years now. So if anyone would like to come down, it's an all-day event. We have lots of speakers, lots of fun things going on. We'd love to have you join us, and we appreciate the city doing this for us. So thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. Now we will move on to oral communications. At this time, members of the public may address the council regarding any items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the council cannot discuss or take action on any items not on the agenda unless authorized by law. Matters not on the agenda may, at the council's discretion, be referred to the city manager and placed on a future agenda. Those members of the public wishing to speak are asked to come forward to the microphone and state their name for the record. All speakers will be limited to a period of 5 minutes. Any documents for review should be presented to the city clerk for distribution. If you've come tonight to speak to us, come on forward.
Good evening, members of the City Council. My name is Stephanie Sweeney, and I live at 306 Spinnaker Way in the River Beach Townhomes. I am here tonight to ask you to please consider rerouting the buses off of First Street. I have been in contact with Bill Smith at Long Beach Transit, and the only way this will work is if the council is behind it. Since June, when the buses first began this new service, those of us on First Street have endured the noise, the dust and dirt, the excessive speed at times, the failure of the bus to come to a stop to yield to oncoming traffic before turning onto Marina, the failure to negotiate the turn, just to mention a few. Those of us at River Beach whose units are on First Street have our master bedrooms at the front of the units. The buses start very early, around 6 a.m., and run up and down First Street every half hour. I live at the corner of First and Marina, so as the bus slows, it lets out a noise similar, but a little bit quieter, to a Jake break. No sleeping in anymore for any of us. I have been monitoring the buses as they pass. The most riders I have seen are 3, with approximately 0 riders 98% of the time. River Beach has only one entrance-exit driveway. The buses have added another difficult element to an already very busy section of the road. I believe it's only a matter of time before there is an accident or worse. I hope it doesn't come to that before the city can determine a better way for these buses to travel. More importantly, I am very concerned that formal notice via mail was not given to those of us on First Street when the bus route was being formulated, so there could have been a public forum that we could have all participated in and agreed upon. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak, and I hope that serious consideration is given to this issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Matt Duncan. I'm here, I have a couple of questions regarding an agenda item from last meeting, which was the coyote trapping issue. Are we allowed to discuss that tonight?
You have 5 minutes to say what you have to say.
Okay. Well, my first question is, how many coyotes have been trapped?
Okay. Talk to us for 5 minutes,
all right.
and then I
my
will direct you to the
second question is,
staff member.
okay, is how many, has trapping ceased? And if not, how much longer will it continue? My third question has to do with the snares that were found at either Gum Grove Park or Heron Point. If you have any comments on those. And then I also have a comment on what Mr. Sanfilippo stated at the last meeting. He's the owner of Critter Busters. He commented that the use of the CO2 gas chambers was the standard procedure in the industry, and that is correct, sadly. But he also stated that the use of these gas chambers was, in his opinion, humane, and he described it as being a process where the animal is pushed into the gas chamber and it loses consciousness and dies. And I think that it was quite a bit of a soft pedal of the real facts of what goes on. I have tried my best to find videos online of what happens inside one of these chambers. It's easy to find video of a domestic dog or cat being euthanized with sodium pentobarbital. It is as described in that case. The animal basically appears to just go to sleep. But there are none that show an animal being gassed inside of one of these CO2 chambers, dying from asphyxiation. There are descriptions on the websites that are run by organizations like Critter Busters and by the companies that build these gas chambers, and they both describe the process the way Mr. Sanfilippo described it in the last meeting. However, when I talk with veterinarians, biologists, people who have observed it and who are not in, they have no financial gain to be made by keeping it a kind of a secret as to what really happens. It's very disturbing, and I think I described it a little bit in the last meeting. And the animal yelping, gasping for air, losing control of its rear legs, collapsing, continuing to gasp for oxygen as it's asphyxiated, in a process that takes several minutes. These gas chambers come with windows. The window is to allow the operator to observe the animal from the outside and to make sure that it is in fact dead. Because sometimes the animal may appear to be dead, but still has a pulse and has to be gassed again. I mention this because, for one reason, biggest reason, is that I also went online and looked at the headlines from various media outlets across the country, and you probably have also. You see statements such as Seal Beach agrees to trap and gas coyotes. Seal Beach agrees to,
You have 1 minute.
thank you, continue gassing coyotes. So this has not been probably the kind of positive reflection the city would like. When the New York Times runs a story about this, it's not about the fact that you have a problem with coyotes. It's the fact that a city has chosen to, again, follow the lead of Critter Busters, again, a for-profit extermination outfit, and has chosen to gas coyotes, in contrast to other big boy cities like Chicago and Denver that have far different attitudes in dealing with these type of problems. Thank you.
Yes, I would like to refer you, please, to Patrick Gallegos for the answer to your questions, city staff, and you can call City Hall tomorrow.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to address the City Council.
You can pull it down so it's more comfortable.
Weird. My name is Anna Christensen, and I did distribute packets to the City Council members. The last time, in preface to me reading my letter into the record, I would like to say that I spent a good year here in Seal Beach at every City Council meeting with a Gabrielino Tongva elder named Vera Rocha, at a time in which the City Council was considering a housing project that would have turned our wetlands into a golf course. So in spite of this, I believe, true lapse of accountability regarding the wetlands ecosystem that Seal Beach is engaging in by killing a creature it is obligated as a member of the Los Cerritos Wetlands Authority to protect, I do feel that we are fortunate to even have the wetlands, and we thank the City Council and the citizens of Seal Beach for turning down that project over 30 years ago, and we have a wetlands. Unfortunately, we still have Heron Point, a housing development built on a known Native American burial site. So, you know, you win some, you lose some. Anyway, I'm going to read this real quickly into the record. November 10th, 2014, to Seal Beach City Council. Regarding legal responsibilities of the City of Seal Beach as a member of the Los Cerritos Wetlands Authority and signatory to the Joint Use of Powers Agreement for the Los Cerritos Wetlands to protect wetlands wildlife, including coyotes, and to implement the policies outlined in the Los Cerritos Wetlands Authority Stewardship and Management Program. Having entered into a contract with Coyote Busters to trap and kill coyotes, the City of Seal Beach appears to be in violation of its prior legal obligation as a member of the Los Cerritos Wetlands Authority to protect the Los Cerritos Wetlands ecosystem and to educate its citizens to, quote, take ownership, unquote, of the wetlands wildlife. It is clear that very few members of the public are aware of the Los Cerritos Wetlands Authority, and it's possible that even City Council members such as yourselves and City staff are also ignorant of their obligations to understand and enforce the policies of the LCWA. I would make an exception for Mayor Deaton, who is your voting member to the Los Cerritos Wetlands Authority, and should definitely know exactly what she was doing when she voted to kill coyotes. So I would really question, I can't really let her off the hook. It would appear that Seal Beach cannot both kill coyotes and enjoy the power and prestige of managing and protecting the Los Cerritos Wetlands ecosystem as a member of the Los Cerritos Wetlands Authority. In voting to kill coyotes, Seal Beach has revealed a serious lack of accountability and exposed itself to possible legal action. Check it out, City Attorney, please. Please review the following documents and consider changing course. And what, you know,
what I would say in talking with other members of the Wetlands Authority, for example, today when I talked with the California Coastal Conservancy, they are very concerned. They are having their lawyer look in to this issue because, you know, it is a legal document, the Joint Use Authority, the Los Cerritos Wetlands Authority. You were not forced into this position, but you have chosen to become totally accountable for this ecosystem. You list coyotes as a species of the ecosystem, and you claim the responsibility even to be the agency to whom we report any violations. Now, once again, if an individual were to set out a trap, like somebody who spotted a blue heron and decided to hurt it, or I go out into the wetlands, such as the traps that were set in Gum Grove Park, and Mr. Shanks, I truly do not believe that environmentalists are trying to get the city of Seal Beach in trouble. You seem to be quite capable as a city of getting your own selves in trouble without any help from the environmental community. I mean, you know, you don't need to point the finger or threaten the young man. And I was there when he came out of your assistant city manager's office looking completely terrified, having been threatened with arrest for stealing traps that supposedly a dog has already been injured in. So, you know, you are putting traps where the public can, and children or animals can be hurt.
Your time is up.
Basically,
thank you. Your time is up.
Totally, you know, I think you got a problem.
I want to be perfectly clear, there are no traps located in the Los Cerritos wetlands and no traps in Gum Grove Park. Okay, you may begin, Esther. Go ahead. Your turn, Esther.
Good evening, Mayor Deaton, City Council and staff. Esther Kenyon, Seal Beach Community Performing Arts Association. First, I'd just like to give my thanks to Gordon and Mike for the wonderful support you have been in the years that I have been participating in city council meetings with the various organizations and projects. It has been sincerely appreciated, and I wish you all the best of luck in your future endeavors. Thank you. You're welcome. This evening, I would like to just speak briefly about the Performing Arts Association. As you know, we had a spectacular success with Shakespeare in the Park, and it's already scheduled for next year, August 2nd. We're going to be doing The Tempest. So I'm very excited about that. But the thing that we're doing now, which is equally important and exciting, we have scheduled 3 performances of a Christmas opera, Amal and the Night Visitors at McGaw Elementary School Auditorium. The first 2 performances are going to be free performances for children, which means that the 900 children at McGaw School will get to see this small 48-minute opera, which is very, very charming about Christmas. And in the evening, there will be a performance for adults and their children, grandchildren, whomever they would like to bring. This is such a dream that's coming true, and I truly appreciate the support of the council and having this opportunity to speak. Tickets are available for the evening performance at our website, sealbeacharts.org, and I hope you all will come. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Shannon Moss. I'm a co-founder and co-organizer of Empty Cages Los Angeles. I'm sure you guys are aware of the outreach events that we've been having in your city for the past month or so to address the issue with the coyotes. And I know all of you have been on the receiving end of some emails and phone calls from our email and call-in actions. I have spoken with a couple of you on the phone and exchanged emails with a couple of you regarding this issue. And it's become, I believe, clear to me that one of the reasons that the activists are being ignored is because we're viewed as outsiders by members of the community. I I was raised in Rossmore. The first time I ate pizza and drank root beer was at the pizza parlor on Ocean, right next to El Burrito Jr. That you can practically make a flip book of pictures of me posing with Slick Basile, maturing through the years. My first job was at Cold Stone Creamery on Main Street and Ocean. I learned how to drive on the hill. I got my first kiss in Gum Grove Park. For 26 years, I have been a part of this community, and for 26 years, this community has been a part of me. And it pains me to think that because I'm not a voter in the city of Seal Beach, that my concerns about a very serious issue and the concerns about other people who are equally concerned and passionate about this issue are being ignored. I'm concerned that there's been a lack of transparency about what's been going on. I would hope that the city of Seal Beach is not only concerned about their residents, but the people who shop here, the people who vacation here. All of us are asking you to reevaluate this decision. You have heard from the scientists, you've heard from the experts, you've heard from activists, you've heard from animal lovers. You know all the facts at this point. Extending this coal is completely unconscionable. You guys know better at this point. And we're not going away, we're not backing down, and you're not going to stop hearing from us until you make the right decision for the coyotes and the community of Seal Beach. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, Mayor Dayton, and good evening, members of council. I'm here to speak about the coyotes. I'm here as an observer. I'm a member of PETA. PETA is looking into this problem and has invited the members of PETA to be part of observing what is happening with the coyotes here in Seal Beach. PETA has lawyers, and I'm a scientist. I have a bachelor in science. And I started looking recently into this problem, and coyotes, the diet of coyotes is not mainly dogs and cats. So if they're attracted to the backyards, it's because people live behind dog food, cat food, and because they feed a lot on on rodents. So they're doing the city of Seal Beach a favor by eating the rodents. I don't know if you know the amount of rats, mice that a coyote can eat, but you should do your numbers, because if you have a pack of, let's say, 10 coyotes, one coyote will need to eat at least, 15 dogs per day. If you have 10 coyotes, they will need to eat 150 dogs per month, and this is not happening. So if you have 20 coyotes, that will be 300 dogs per month. And since that is not happening, it means that they're eating something else. Since there is no deer and other animals, that is what they usually target when they're out there in the forest, then if you do your numbers, they're eating rodents. And you can calculate the number of rodents they're freeing the city of Seal Beach from. So please do your research, call for a study, an environmental study, to calculate what is that coyotes are eating, what are they feeding on, and you will probably find out that they're doing the city of Seal Beach a favor by ridding them of rodents, rats, and mice. They've opened up the stomach of some coyotes that have been killed in farms, thinking that they're stealing maybe the hens or killing some animals. And they found up to 69 mice in the stomach of a coyote. So imagine having 69 rats or mice around your house. What do you prefer, to have a coyote feeding on them, or to have 69, mice and rats in your city? And that's just in a very small amount of time. So we should trust Mother Nature, that if Mother Nature or God bless us with coyotes, there's got to be a reason to that. Rodents carry hantavirus and a lot of other diseases that we don't want in our backyards. We don't want to be where rats and rodents pee, because they carry this hantavirus and we get sick, our children get sick. So let the coyotes do their job. They're doing a clearing the environment, our environment, from rats,
rodents. So please let them do their job, and please don't kill them. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
My name is Cecile Caden.
Cecile?
Caden.
Thank you. Come on. Yep. It's empty.
I wasn't planning on talking, and obviously I'm not going to be real popular, I can see here, but I've watched television and I've heard Dr. Baker on TV talking about coyotes, and he says that they won't stop on their own. Hazing doesn't work. They're very aggressive and they're not going to get better. And then also at the base, there was somebody on TV that said the threat, there's 7 steps. And the 7th is when they kill people, humans. We are on 5 now. And I've lost an animal to the coyotes. And if I have to choose and I give money to PETA. I might stop now, I don't know. But I give automatic donations to PETA because they do a lot of good things.
Could we be polite, please?
They do a lot of good things, and I appreciate it. But this one thing, we have a little different situation here in Seal Beach, and we need to take care of our pets and our little children. My neighbor was walking his granddaughter, and the coyote was chasing them. This is very scary, and I just wish that everybody would, look at the whole situation.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening, Mayor, City Manager, staff, Robert Goldberg, Seal Beach.
Robert, I can hardly hear you.
Am I? Okay.
Yeah, good, that's better,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Robert Goldberg, Seal Beach. I'd like to speak on 2 items that are on your agenda. I appreciate that they were not pulled, but I came prepared to speak to them anyhow. The first is item I, which is a resolution from the city manager asking that you approve her decision to undergo a no-bid contract for $62,000 to install several ADA handicap access ramps on Main Street, as well as parking spaces. According to the staff report, staff became aware that there were too few handicap accessible spaces on Main Street back in 2013, and they considered this to be a safety hazard. The staff report doesn't say when the spaces were put in and the curb cuts were done. From my observation and from one of the workers at the hardware store, they indicated that this work was probably done in April or May of this year, so probably about a half year after the observations were made. The problem here is not that the work was done, is that there was no bidding for a contract. And the city charter is pretty clear as to when you can do that. The resolution that you're being asked to approve references 2 sections in the city charter, section 107B and section 110. And I gave you an abridged version of both of those, is what I handed out. And section 107 states that the council, in order to ensure continuity of governmental operations in periods of emergency resulting from disasters of whatever nature, shall have the power and immediate duty to enter into contracts without bidding. Okay? The key word there is disaster. Putting ADA improvements on Main Street was not a result of disaster. So I don't see how you can cite section 107 from the charter. Section 110 of the charter mentions that work can be done without bids if the city council deems them to be of urgent necessity for the preservation of life, health, and property. And this is the argument that staff's making, and there may be some truth to that. However, this section says that the city council in this event, the council shall adopt a resolution supporting the letting of a contract without bids, after which the city may proceed to have this work done. The problem is that this work was done 5-6 months ago. So there is a process in the charter to deal with disasters and other urgent matters that require public work contracts. And it appears that the improvements on Main Street for ADA don't meet either of these city charter sections. So I'm asking you to not ratify the city manager's action, to not approve this resolution. It seems like that staff messed up. Maybe they intended well. I don't know. I'm sure they had good intentions, but they didn't follow the charter. And what I'd like to see instead of the council acquiescing to this interpretation of the charter, which I really can't find.
Yeah, 1 minute.
That we simply just have staff say, look, we thought we were doing the right thing. We messed up. We're sorry, and we won't do it again. That would be fine. But to go along with what staff is saying in this resolution and say that the charter allows this type of thing, that's a really bad precedent, and I really don't think you should go there. Second, real quick, because I don't have much time, item J is the water conservation contract for $100,000 a year to have an inspector drive around the city 20 hours a week. I spoke before that I'm not in favor of that. My one question to staff on this is I wrote an article about 7 weeks ago in the Sun about our water bills. The fact that our water bills don't show residents the fact that there are two tiers. Like the electric bills have multiple tiers, and we do have a two-tiered system. The second tier starts right above the average for a resident and charges 30% more. But I have a neighbor that's in the second tier, didn't know it.
Your time is up.
So I'd like to see, rather, some of that money instead of $100,000 walk around, is we work on our water bills. That would help a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, could you address the claim that this is done outside of the proper channel of the contract?
This is consistent with how we've handled emergency work in the past. Sometimes there is not sufficient time to get it back to the council. We've had emergency work done at the pier and a few other locations where we've come back for ratification after the fact. So it's up for the council when it reaches this item to determine whether or not the findings can be made, and it's your decision at that point. I believe it within your discretion to approve and ratify the city manager's decision to let that contract.
I guess what the question is this within the city manager's purview or not, is that the way that it's been raised?
I believe it is, to the extent that it is ratified by the council's judgment after the fact.
Okay, thank you. All right, is there anyone else that wanted to speak? Yes?
Hi, my name is Shelley Bolander. Just briefly on the coyote issue, as far as I know, and from talking to people in town, that there is still numerous coyote sightings. Last night I saw 2 coyotes up on the hill at Crest and Mar Vista and Catalina area. They were not full grown, but they were out on their own and running in and out of yards in the middle of the street. There were numerous people walking their dogs. I warned them as I was driving by. One gentleman I warned, he was walking with 2 teenagers, and I said, you might want to be careful. There's a couple of coyotes up there. He goes, oh, I saw them. And he said they went down there. And then he said, well, maybe we should put out some meat for them so they'll stay away from pets. And even my 12-year-old daughter went, what did he say? I think it's really important that we need to educate people. We need to educate people in the town. And there's still a guy that's over on, what street I'm talking about, that is feeding feral animals. And he just got a cat killed 2 weeks ago. Education is really, really important. And I don't know what you have planned for that, but I hope it's something really good, and I hope it works. I also wanted to mention that I resent Tim Ravel's remarks on Nextdoor.com in regards to him claiming that somebody found a Critter Busters snare trap in Gun Grove and took it to one of his meetings, and he felt compelled to post this on social media without knowing any of the facts, without seeing the trap, without seeing the label on the trap, and labeling it a snare trap, whether it was or not. I don't really care. Hopefully a coyote was caught. But I don't think that type of talk and postings from somebody that's supposed to be on the Seal Beach Coyote Committee is really beneficial to our city. I don't see how that's helping. Can I mention one other thing that I noticed while driving up on the hill? It doesn't have to do with the coyotes, and I'll be real brief, is the water situation. And we all know that there's a drought. As I'm driving through the hill and on my way home, and we were up there for about a half an hour, numerous houses on Sunday night with their sprinklers going for minimum 25-30 minutes. Runoff going all the way down Catalina, all the way down Crestview, and, going down the other streets because of all of the runoff. And I know there's nobody working on Sunday nights. You're not supposed to water on Sunday nights. I don't know what can be done about that, but hopefully something. Thank you.
Well, thank you for reporting it. Okay, anyone else?
Mayor Deaton, council members and staff, I'm Deb Matchin, and I'm coming to you tonight to speak on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, Seal Beach Chamber of Commerce. And I'd like first to thank all of the candidates of the recent election for their participation in the Chamber's candidate forum held in October. We've had a lot of comments, a lot of both members and residents who attended who have let us know that they really appreciated all of the participation, all of the candidates, and giving each person the ability to hear where the candidates stood on issues that are critical to their businesses and to living here in our community. So I wanted to thank everyone for that. I'd also like to congratulate Mayor Deaton on her reelection, Councilwoman Sandra Massa-Lavitt, and Councilman Mike Verapapa on being elected to council. And we look forward to a strong city council over the next 4 years. And I would be remiss in not thanking from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of the Chamber, Councilman Gordon Shanks, Councilman Levitt, thank you so much for everything that you've done in service for our city. You're very much appreciated. I also want to let everyone know, remind everyone about the Community Thanksgiving Dinner. It's held on Thanksgiving Day, and it's at St. Anne's Church. All are welcome, and it is specifically for people who do not have anyone to be with on Thanksgiving or the resources to have a Thanksgiving dinner. And again, all are welcome. It is one serving at noon. We start with bingo at 11 o'clock, live entertainment, and we have one seating at noon. We can only hold so many in the facility, so RSVPs are required. Please contact the Chamber at sealbeachchamber.org, and they'll get you on the list. And also rides are available for anybody who cannot get to and from. So let them know that you need a ride, and we'll be happy to make that happen for you. The Christmas tree lighting ceremony is coming up on Saturday, November 29th, and that is from 5 to 7 p.m. There will be sledding, live entertainment, too many things to mention, in addition to the tree lighting and a visit from Santa. So we hope that you'll all come out for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, please. If you still want to speak, would you come and get in line, please?
My name is Daniel Cowell. I'm going to make this brief. I do not live in Orange County. However, I work for 2 private environmental consultant companies that are based in Orange County. I do the wildlife portion of the surveys. Often in times in management practices, we have to eradicate certain species if they are invasive, if they have been introduced, or if they are parasitic. In this case, however, coyotes do not fall under any of these categories. So to eliminate them and kill them solely on the premise of them being a personal nuisance is entirely unjustifiable and unacceptable. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no one else, I am going to close oral communication, and we will move on now to the city attorney report.
Nothing to report tonight.
City manager?
No items tonight, thank you.
Council comments. We'll begin with Councilman Shanks. Councilman Levitt?
Yes, 2 items. One, as you know, or heard an item on vector control for Orange County, and we have a new threat to our safety and to our lives. There's a new mosquito on the scene. In addition to the one that gives us West Nile virus, there's now an Asian striped tiger mosquito that transmits yellow fever and dengue fever. We don't know where it came from, how it got here. We suspect it came from imports such as tires and landscaping. It's a day biter. It is not a nighttime biter. So if any of you out there are starting to see or are suffering from mosquito bites that you receive during the day, and that's very rare, Orange County Vector Control needs to know about it right away, because they will send out inspectors and they will look for where the mosquitoes are breeding, the types of eggs, and then they will start the process of eradicating those mosquitoes. You don't want to get yellow fever, and you certainly don't want to get dengue fever. It is not a pretty sight. People have died from both of those. People are still dying from West Nile virus because they're not being careful about the mosquitoes that cause that one, and that's a night biter. So please, if that's happening, I will just give you this number. I'm sure none of you are able to write it down, but there is Orange County Vector Control has a phone number of 714-971-2421. They want to know if there's a day-biting mosquito in your neighborhood. Second thing, in Leisure World, sometimes people actually make fun of us old fogies. I don't know why, but we seem to be the butt of some of the jokes in town, and that I've made most of those jokes myself, having lived there for 17 years. I just want to bring one point to your attention. In the most recent election, in District 1, District 1 is down here, the tourist district, the area around the beach. 45% of the eligible voters voted. In District 3, which is all residential, no, I'm sorry, with 35% down here, 45% in the residential district, and way over in Leisure World, where we're almost not able to get up to go hit the polls, we had 55% turnout to vote. So next time you're talking to a senior, or you have to hear something about a senior, remember, we're opinionated as hell. We're going to vote, and it's going to count. Thank you.
Councilman Miller.
Yeah, I just want to repeat this evening that one of the things I mentioned about Councilman Shanks is that he has an incredible history at Seal Beach, and he's a true asset to the city council, and he will be missed and probably not replaceable. And he also had a good sense of what worked in Seal Beach and what didn't work in Seal Beach, and was able to give us good advice all the time. And we're going to miss you, Gordon, and I appreciate everything you've done for me and for the council. And Mike, I appreciate everything I've done with you, working together on a number of committees, and my district's very appreciative of all your hard work to save the Almond Sound Bowl. and also your efforts against the toll lanes, as mentioned earlier, and as I mentioned earlier this evening, that every meeting Mike went to, he made a point of the financial burden on the seniors of Rossmore. Leisure World, and Rossmore. Yeah. And I want to cover one more person tonight before, and that's Linda. Linda may sneak out, and I don't want her to sneak out, because she's done so much for this city. When I came to this council, Dr. Goldberg, since he's here, I know he used to go to the library every weekend to read the agendas. And Linda's got the agendas online now. She's got past staff reports online. And she's so sharp, she sent me off to check out Huntington Beach about streaming and video archiving. And not that I was going to do it, but I came back and recommended the idea, and Linda put it in place. And all the transparency we have in this city today is because of Linda. And she deserves a lot of credit for making it all available. I'm sure Dr. Goldberg would agree, because he spent many Saturdays at the library, and now he can just get on his computer and read it. And thank you very much, Linda. I appreciate it, because I think you put all that online because you got tired of me calling you and asking for it. Thank you very much. And that's all my comments.
All right, thank you very much. I also want to thank Councilman Shanks for your service, Councilman Levitt, and Linda Devine. Thank you very much. And now we'll move on to council items. We have none this evening. We will move on to, do I do the consent calendar first, Steve, and then the items that were pulled? Okay, do I have a motion to accept the consent calendar, remembering that D has a revised attachment?
And that F, G, and K have been removed for separate action.
Yes.
Seconded.
Please vote. So that's 4-0 to approve. And now we will pull the first item, item F. And it was pulled by Councilman Miller. Do we have a staff report, please?
I just have comments.
I'd like a staff report on
sure.
anything.
So Sean, our Public Works Director, will briefly summarize this item. Sean?
People don't understand what's going on.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor Council. I'll briefly summarize. Item F on the agenda is a request to accept and file a notice of completion for the Seal Beach Boulevard and Lamson Avenue landscape improvement project. That project was awarded on June 9th of 2014 to the firm of Landforms Construction in the amount of $512,000. The project has been completed and included a variety of improvements that were recommended as part of a eucalyptus tree study two eucalyptus tree studies that were adopted by the City Council, both in December of 2013 on Seal Beach Boulevard and at the time of award in June on Lamson Avenue. Now, this project included some of those recommended actions within those eucalyptus tree studies. Some of those have been booked into the current budget and are set to start as soon as this project is adopted. So with that, I'm available to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you.
Okay. I just want to make a couple points. When this project was put together, the main focus, at least for me, was the eucalyptus grove between Lamson and St. Cloud. And while the parkways and medians were reconstructed and completed in nice form and all the watering systems were put in place, the eucalyptus grove is probably, well, it's definitely not complete yet. We still need to have a watering system put in and the fertilization and insect control plan put into effect. So the point is that I just want to make sure that we understand. I'm reluctantly going ahead and approve this tonight, but I want to make sure it's understood that we need to get this done, and we need that grove back the way it was, looking attractive again. It still needs work. So with that, I move it.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Please vote. That's 4-0 to accept, and now we will pull G. Do we have a staff report, please?
Sean, if you go ahead and summarize this item, please.
Good evening again, Honorable Mayor Council. Item G on the agenda addresses the city's Corporation Yard project. There are 9 recommended actions within the staff report. I won't go through all 9, but I will summarize to say that they involve several actions in relation to accepting the notice of completion for the current construction project. A second group of the recommendations involves awarding of construction, a new construction contract for the roof. And then the final two options involve removing hazardous materials from the facility. So just real quickly, the current construction contract was awarded on June 9th of 2014 and includes a remodel of the administration building over at the City Corporation Yard. During construction, there were some change orders that were encountered, mainly due to structural members within the building that required design changes and construction changes to the contract, and then some code issues that were encountered during the project. The total change orders amounted to $37,000 for the project. The second group of items is related to the roof. During construction, hazardous materials were encountered in the roof, and so the roof replacement was removed from the project. The plans were put together for a new roof replacement, which one of the main advantages of was gaining competitive bidding on the new roof. There is a recommended action to award a construction contract for that. The replacement, an increased size of replacement from the original contract, and HVAC ducting improvements within that project. So with that, I'm available to answer any questions that you have.
Okay, my issue with this is that the $90,000 of additional money required are to come from the Water and Sewer Fund, and the building itself is used for other than water and sewer. It's used for all the city managements in that building. I think it more appropriate that maybe $22,500 come out each of these funds and about $45,000 come out of the general fund. The Water and Sewer Fund should not be used exclusively for this additional project. It should be proportionally for what the building is utilized for, and so I'm recommending that we alter this and charge off half of it to the general fund. And that's my motion.
Okay, do we have a second for that motion?
Let me
Because I have
second it for
questions.
discussion. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, second.
All right, Sean?
So the project has been funded both with funds originating from the Water and Sewer Fund, primarily due to the fact that the administration functions of the Corporation Yard do run the day-to-day operations of those utilities. It is true that there are other functions, general fund funded functions that do run out of the Corporation Yard, but just due to the fact that it was running those programs, we did charge it there. Altering the funding is a decision that the council has within their authority to do.
Is there any other information that we should have?
Vicki, do you have any comment to add on restructuring the financial impact to diversify the funding?
No, I don't, City Manager, because all we need to do is just change the accounting that's here in the staff report. We have funding available.
I wanted to ask, now we know we have the supervisor of maintenance there, and the maintenance manager there. Personnel-wise, people that use that building, how many are water people, how many are other type of functions?
So within the administration building, there's an office for the gentleman who runs our water system, and we have a water testing lab in there. So all of those functions for the water system, in addition to Luis Estevez, our deputy director, are run out of that office. There is an office for our superintendent who runs our sewer operations out of the yard. So those two functions are being managed out of that office. As far as the maintenance side of things, those don't come out of the administration building. They come out of the individual garages as far as the equipment and material storage and all of that. This is just administration functions for those operations.
And that includes the locker rooms and
the locker rooms, the changing,
cafeteria and all
the
that
break
for all the
room.
maintenance.
Right. So all of the maintenance workers come through there. All of their activities come through there. All of the paperwork comes through there. All of the computers go through there. As you mentioned, the locker rooms, the public counter where the public can come in and speak to the departments are there, and all the administrative functions run through there, the printers and everything else. So it is a central hub
So function-wise, probably not more than 50% of the water is utilizing that building, water and sewer funds.
I would say all of the staff utilizes that building.
Okay, thank you. I would still like to pass my motion for a vote.
What percentage would you say, Sean, is not water-related?
It's very difficult to just come up with a number off the cuff, especially when you consider that many of the employees within the department provide multiple services for the city, and so...
So what you're saying is those employees also work on water while they're working on other things as well?
Well, so our water crew is devoted to the water system, all the maintenance personnel, the management, our chief water operator is 100% water funded, but above him, the deputy director provides multiple functions, water, sewer, and all the operations out of the yard. Our sewer crew, those employees manage a variety of functions. There's only 3 employees that are dedicated solely to the sewer system. The superintendent that runs over the sewer system also manages our streets, storm drains, and the beach. And he's a busy guy. He runs all kinds of things out of there. So it's very difficult for me to come up with a percentage off the top of my head. But the water system is very, very separate and segregated at the yard, and it runs out of that administration building.
And Councilman Miller, how did you come up with your percentages?
Off the top of my head, I just said 50-50. I mean, I didn't try to be scientific. If I was scientific, I would probably put less toward the water and sewer fund if we got to utilize of the portions of the building. I mean, if you get that scientific analysis of who uses the locker rooms and the maintenance facilities and the general stuff. So I just said 50-50. I don't know how the original percentage was when they did the original allocation. But it just doesn't seem proper that the whole thing should go against the water and sewer fund.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
If I might suggest on page 8 of the current budget, we have a cost allocation, an allocation plan that shows the allocation of staff to general fund, water fund, and sewer fund. If we're looking for a specific allocation, what I would recommend is that we just mathematically figure out the allocations based upon our staffing allocation plan and apply the allocations to Councilmember Miller's recommendation.
Thank you. I'm much more comfortable with that than just pulling numbers out of the air. So how do we amend the motion then to show that?
Well, if there's a friendly amendment, we can just, the council member who made the motion can revise his motion.
Utilizing those numbers would be fine.
Okay. Is that all right with the seconder?
That's fine.
All right.
So just for my clarification then, Vicki, do you have an actual number you can give us right now, or are you proposing that the budget amendment be approved with direction that the cost allocation follow the budget formula?
Well, I'd like to actually do the numbers rather than give you a number, but, it's going to be, the water fund is about 30% of the total staffing. The sewer fund is about 15% of the total staffing, so roughly the allocation could go
I'd like
along
the
those
motion
lines.
to go the way the attorney said it, though. I think that gives you time then to make sure your numbers are right.
Yes.
Is that all right with you, the maker of the motion? Okay, then.
So I'm asking for further clarification. As I understand the motion, please correct me if I'm misstating this, is that it would be to approve the resolution as presented with an amendment to Section 5 to specify that the budget amendment be revised to allocate in keeping with the recommendations of the Director of Finance, which was, you say it was 35, 15%, and
Well, it's rough. It's
What I'd like
you want to go with the actual number. So can you clarify what that figure is so I can have that for the record?
I think that's our problem, is what I'd like to do is have the motion stated so that she can work those numbers out. I don't think...
Okay, so that the budget allocation is consistent with, so the budget amendment the allocation in the budget amendment is consistent with the
Position allocation plan.
position allocation plan
Yes.
and the adopted budget.
Yes.
Thank you for the magic.
And eventually, that will be specific numbers, but not tonight. That gives her time to work on it and make sure it's accurate. Okay?
I move that.
Okay. All right, please vote.
Oh, I'm sorry, Madam Chair, we don't have a second on that. then,
Yeah,
do we?
you did.
Oh, we did? Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Mr. Levitt.
Okay, that's 4-0 to pass that as amended. Okay, and now we will pull item K. Do we have a staff report, please?
Sure, and finally, Sean, if you'd present this item to council, please.
Promise is the last one. Item K on the agenda is a recommendation to award a contract to the firm of R.F. Dixon to provide street sweeping services for the city. R.F. Dixon has provided street sweeping services for the city for more than 10 years and has provided quality service to the city. Their current contract expires this month, actually, and as such, the city put out a request for bids to bring in new service to the city. The city currently sweeps just under 4,000 miles, and that includes a variety of frequencies throughout the city. The intent of the contract is not to change any of the service provided, rather just to competitively bid and go out and renew the service. Unfortunately, when those bids were solicited, the new cost is significantly higher than the existing cost, and our staff did attempt to, actually before the bidding, see if the vendor was interested in extending at the current levels, and they were not. So unfortunately, this is the results of our bid process. With that, I'm available to answer any questions that you have.
Okay, Councilman Miller?
Yeah, my question is, first of all, I appreciate you updating the numbers, because as my records indicate that Fountain Valley actually was not $56, it was in the 20s, and that was an error back from 2011. But you've updated those, and now the $28.80 is higher than Stanton and Huntington Beach, but lower than Garden Grove. I just wanted a reference point there. The problem I'm having, I'm trying to follow. In 2011, we identified what was the schedule or what was being done, and we had that Main Street was done Monday through Thursday, that the arterial and residential streets and Pacific Coast Highway and Saturn Way and a couple other streets were done, if you read into the document, every other week, and that they also mentioned that Seal Way was $50 for that. But then when I read the current contract on page 13, of the contract, it identifies arterial and residential streets will be done twice per month, and that with the exception of Pacific Coast Highway, which will be swept 4 times a month. And it doesn't address commercial, and it doesn't address Main Street. And so then I received this document from you, and there's some streets that are being done daily. There's some being done every Thursday, some being done 6 times a month, some being 2 times. And in 2011, when I approved this document, I thought this is what the schedule was, and you were working with that to develop it. Now with page 13, with this schedule, with the old schedule, I don't know what I'm approving to be done.
So the description within the existing or within the proposed contract is not meant to be a hard schedule. There's a historical schedule that the city has adhered to, and in general, it is biweekly for most of the residential streets. Not biweekly, twice a month for most of the residential streets within the city. There are some exceptions to different areas of the city. I think that the street sweeping contract is intended to provide a cost per curb mile and then deliver that service. If it's the direction of council to review sweeping schedules, we'll be happy to do so, but that was never intended to be part of this action to the council.
Well, again, on page 13, you identify something you call the routine scheduled sweeping. And so I was trying to follow that. To me, I just want to know what it is that we're sweeping. I don't care what it is. I just want to know what it is so that I know if it changes. Again, it's significant different than the current contract. The current contract, again, doesn't, they're all a little different is all I can say. So there's no consistency.
The contract wasn't structured.
And this document's totally different.
Right. Yeah. We can bring back a street sweeping schedule. It wasn't intended to be a hard schedule within the contract, and the contract wasn't written similar to the one in 2011.
Why is that, Sean? Why did you decide to write it differently?
Well, I think that the street sweeping maps that have been published and delivered to the public, they weren't exactly matching what was in the past contract, and so what the staff wanted to do was just get it down to a unit price and then match historically what had been provided to the community. I think if we'd be happy to add that to the contract or change things, but there was no intention to do anything other than continue to provide the existing level of service that was out there before.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you right, what you're saying is that you want to get X number of miles from the street sweeper and leave it open to the staff and the council to decide which streets should be swept on an ongoing basis so that it's not tied into a contract? Am I understanding you correctly?
So the 2004 contract had approximately 3,900 curb miles that the city was maintaining. This current contract has slightly more because we've had some development since then, but it's like 3,970. So it really is ultimately the same quantity that we're doing. If there are individual items that the community wants, we can look at making those changes at any time.
So that gives us more discretion?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Let me ask you, what's being done 6 times a month?
Pacific Coast Highways. That's the only item on there. That's 6 times per month.
And what's 2 times a week?
2 times a week?
I don't know. I'm just reading it. It says there 2 times a week. It's a light yellow.
Councilman Miller, you have something that the rest of the council doesn't have, so I'm not...
It came to us all by email, but okay.
Mayor, if I could, I believe what staff's intending to do with this in the language on page 13 with the exceptions that they've noted in the contract is to keep the street sweeping schedule the same that it's been historically, which is what's provided in those maps. And so I believe, as Sean indicated, all we're doing is updating the contract with the current market price with the expectation that we will continue to move this service forward as we have historically provided. That's our recommendation to you.
Okay, thank you.
Well, the problem is it makes no sense because you have something schedule here, you have another schedule written in the contract, and they're inconsistent.
Page 13, actually, Councilman Miller, if I could, does identify in accordance with the area schedule, and that's the schedule that you're looking at, that we've historically provided.
Except for the ones that are different.
All right, well, if I understand it correctly, all they're asking for is to move the street sweeping contract forward and leave it open as to what needs to be done as a discretionary movement. So I don't have a problem with that. Do you have a problem with it?
Well, and I guess before I go there, I would like to have seen this contract come to the council back in August. I don't like a contract that's already a month late to come to council. I like time to discretion to review it and do my due diligence on behalf of the people of Seal Beach. So I think it has to come earlier than a month after the fact when we're in trouble. So the schedule, again, I'm struggling with the schedule. I mean, are you saying the council is approving the schedules or not approving the schedules?
Well,
because this is so general.
We would be approving the street sweeping contract, which does not have a schedule within it.
And the staff would work with assuming the contract moves forward tonight, the staff would work with the street sweeper provider to work out those details. And I will note, one of the reasons why it didn't come back to the council sooner is we were hoping to work with the contractor to maintain the same price that we've been paying historically for years, and that was a negotiation process we were working on. Once that effort failed, we had to take the time to go out for an RFP to move this process forward. So.
Okay, so do we have a motion?
Well, I would like to see the council have some control over the schedule to know what it is that we're approving.
But we're not approving the
Otherwise, it's
schedule.
just that you're approving a contract and telling staff, go do whatever you want.
If I understand it, we're just approving or disproving the price we're going to pay per mile.
Correct.
And nothing else.
That's correct.
Nothing else. We will then determine how many miles, but it'll be at that price.
Well, I think you're also approving miles, is that correct?
Well, there's a mileage total in the contract, and the contract is paid per mile. So that number can be modified later. What we're doing is approving a contract to continue the service as it is currently provided right now.
And what I'm saying is I would like to be able to approve a schedule. I mean, I thought in 2011 I was approving a schedule for four short cleanings on Main Street, cleaning of Seal Way, and a number of other streets that were listed. Then we have something here, again, on page 13 that kind of covers some of it in general. It talks about twice a week we're going to do residential in Ontario, except for Pacific Coast Highway. I would like to see...
Okay, well, I think I have a suggestion then. I think we should move forward with our contract tonight, and you should ask for a schedule to be brought back. Right?
That's fine, as long as the council's approving the schedule.
That's what I'm saying. Have
That's fine.
the schedule brought back.
That'd be fine.
All right. So, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, please vote.
Please note that that's amended, that there will be a schedule coming back.
Well, I think that should be a separate item.
No, but I mean,
Okay.
so that we're approving this, but some way...
We are giving, in the meantime, the contract would move forward, the new contract that you approved tonight would move forward with the schedule that we've historically provided as far as the service to the residents of Seal Beach. Once we work with the provider, we'll bring back a schedule for your approval. And I think that's the direction to staff.
Can the record reflect that, please?
Yes. Please vote. That's 4-0 to approve. Okay, well, we're at adjournment. So now we will adjourn the city council meeting to Monday, December the 8th at 4 p.m. For ethics training. All right, and then we will have a closed session if deemed necessary. Thank you all for coming. Good night.